onto the Champions League. It's back today with the knockout stages, the last 16. Manchester City in Denmark, in wonderful, wonderful Copenhagen, and Real Madrid are in Leipzig to face RB Leipzig, the home side. First legs, the second legs, the reverse fixture in 3 weeks' time. So, before we get to individual fixtures, we want to build a little bit of drama here. Your top 5 in reverse order that you think are going to be the main 5s in this competition this year. So don't give me your winner just yet. Give me number 5, and then we'll make our way to number 1. Who you got?
Okay, Bayern Munich is in the 5th position right now.
Okay. Bayern Munich 5th. Okay,
Bayern
number 4?
Number 4 is Arsenal.
Okay, number 3?
Number 3, Inter. Number 2, Real Madrid. And at the top, the defending champions, Manchester City.
Interesting. The one name that doesn't feature in the top 5 in the betting, which is City, are the 2-1 favourites. Then Bayern, Real Madrid, and Arsenal, all available at 6-1. And then PSG next up at 14-1. You have Inter at number 2. So you could be very rich if you back your thought process with Inter at number 2, because you can get more than 20-1 available for Inter. Why have you got them that high?
Well, last season on the show, I had them in the final after the group stages. They confirmed that, played very, very good game, very tight game against Manchester City. It's a team that has absolutely everything, right? I mean, they're 2-3 deep in the position while spending really, I don't want to say zero money, but if you look at the transfers, how many free players they've gotten over the years, they're doing a tremendous job. Now, Piotr Zielinski for next season, and Taremi is the next one, right? 2 players that will come on a free as well. So they're the masters of that. Just an example, and aside of this conversation, that you can get it done without spending too much money. But look, they're excellent. Again, beating Roma, beating Juventus. I think they're the champions in Serie A already. Even though it's still pretty tight, and they have the experience. And there are no other Italian teams over 2 legs. They know how to grind out results. Nobody's going to ask questions about that. Nobody's going to be caring about how well they've done it because that's not a topic of conversation in Italy for the most part, like it is, say, in the Premier League or maybe elsewhere. It's not going to be as easy for them because last year, if you remember, I think it was Porto and Benfica on the way to that final. This is going to be a real test. We'll find out really soon because, I mean, come on, Atleti against Inter, so that's not an easy one.
They have to go to the Metropolitano in the second leg. Now, Athletic Club went there recently and won. They were the first team to do so in over a year. They might not even get through to the next round against Atleti. So it's going to be a tough one in that one. Of the 5 that you've put in, who was the 1 or maybe 2 you thought, oh, I need to put them in, but I couldn't? You just couldn't fit a place in your top 5?
Well, of course, Barcelona. Last time we did this, and it was a couple of months ago, or maybe even a little bit more. I just felt that Barcelona certainly were in that conversation, right? But as we see the way the season has developed, we just saw the game over the weekend, Mark, that I think you commentated on. It hasn't been pretty because going forward, you can certainly see on a day or 2 Barcelona capable still of beating many, many top teams. No questions about that. But the defensive issues, not just in the back, but in the midfield, the number of goals they concede. I mean, almost anyone can score against Barcelona. And let's face it, they still have a lot of the key players playing in that back, with the exception of Ter Stegen, because, of course, I use him as part of that defense. He's back, given time. He's going to be once again important. But, this is not the Barcelona that could hide their defensive issues in the past because they possess the ball for 90-some% of the time. They don't do that anymore. They're not as good as that. And that is why I kind of, for me, it was a decision at this moment between them and Bayern Munich. And although Bayern Munich have their own issues, there's more of a team, there's more of a balance. And I do believe that defensively, if you get the Kims, Upamecano's, De Ligt, even though he's out of favor, there's still enough in there. And Fonzie Davies, when he comes back, Mazraoui, okay, he's doable, I think. So I look at a team as a whole, and having Harry Kane, I had to choose Bayern Munich over Barcelona.
It's probably fair, certainly the way that Barcelona are defending right now. They've only kept a couple of clean sheets in about 15 games, and both of them were against Osasuna. Now, Manchester City are the bookies' favourites. They're 2-1. Next best, 3 teams at 6-1. That's a big gap. City at their best, do they win the Champions League?
Yeah, I think over the last 2 seasons, they showed that they were the best. Even, last season, they obviously wanted. The season before that, it was Real Madrid. But if you remember that 2-legged affair, I mean, the 2 late goals, I mean, it was really Manchester City who were by far the better team in terms of those 2 games. It's not an easy one. Real Madrid has done it recently. Can Manchester City do it again? Absolutely. As I've said, they're healthy. Some issues with couple players, but for the most part, we're just going to start to see the best of Erling Haaland, who's coming back already. Had a couple last week, and Kevin De Bruyne almost immediately stepping into that. So look, I mean, there's so many options right there. They finally won it, so that pressure is off a little bit off of them. And if you look at the team and the squad at this particular moment, it'd be hard-pressed to tell me a team that's better positioned to do it again.
We've got a lot of Spanish interest still in the competition. Real Sociedad taking on PSG, Real Madrid today in Germany against RB Leipzig. Somebody watching has written in with a comment. Who goes further as far as the 2 Spanish sides, Atleti, are concerned, or Barcelona? Barcelona's got Napoli. Atleti's got Inter. You've already got Inter as your number 2. So does that mean it's a case of Barcelona beating Napoli and they would go further for you if you think
It could be. I mean, both games not easy. Obviously, Napoli's not the same, but they will get Victor Osimhen back from African Cup of Nations. Obviously, losing in the final to Ivory Coast, but that's an important one. Walter Mazzarri is struggling. We just saw them lose to Milan over the weekend, Mark. Yeah, looking at that, even though I have put Inter in there, I truly believe if they get through that, they're going to be one of the teams that I still think can get back to in the final. But of course, you can see Barcelona having the second leg back at home against Napoli, going a little bit further, because somehow, not that I'm disrespecting Napoli, but Mark, we've seen them. This is not the same, right? I mean, because of injuries of Osimhen early on, and Kvaratskhelia is kind of coming back. Issues with Zielinski because he's already pretty much an Inter player, and he's not going to be part of that Champions League squad and that game as well. That's, of course, De Laurentiis doing. So I could see Barcelona winning that. And I could see, quite honestly, Atleti getting the better of Inter. This is going to be a fascinating game for 2 games.
Let's go through the 8 ties. Now, what I need from you, I need a winner of the tie, and whether you think it's going to be close or whether you think it's going to be comfortable for the team that you select as the winner. We're going to start. We'll just do them in chronological order. So we'll start today with Copenhagen against Manchester City. Not the first leg result, just who's going through from the tie. Will it be close or will it be comfortable?
Manchester City should be comfortable, but the Parken, it's a difficult place to go to in Copenhagen. They beat a Manchester team already this year, I think. I forget the name of that team, but no, Rooney Bargy, that's my story. No, Manchester City should do it.
Okay, RB Leipzig against Real Madrid.
Real Madrid. I think anybody that's going to win it, I have a feeling that you have to go through Real Madrid anyway. It's their competition and should have a name on it. They've deserved it, even though some injuries. I think they're going to get the band together when it matters the most. And in this one, it's Real Madrid.
Comfortable or close?
Comfortable enough.
Okay. Next one. Should be a good one, this. PSG taking on Real Sociedad.
Yeah, Real Sociedad. My goodness, where's the first game in Paris?
Paris on Valentine's Day, Janusz. Does it get more romantic than that?
Yeah, close. I like Real Sociedad. Lately, they're not the same Real Sociedad when beginning of the season, right? The group stages and all of that. And Kylian Mbappe in rich form. Close, very, very close to PSG.
Lazio Bayern Munich.
Oh.
Good tie.
Zari and Tuchel, both manager not all that comfortable. I never say it's going to be easy when it comes to German or Italian teams. So very, very close. But of course, Bayern Munich are going to see their way through in this one.
Okay, here's a tie we've already spoken about. Inter, home first against Atletico Madrid.
You know, I've put myself in the corner here because
You have.
I want my prediction of Inter going far to go again. A lot of respect for Cholo Simeone, obviously Morata and Griezmann, the whole story. It's a different athletic, different feel to it. I actually enjoy watching them. I always have. I have to go with Inter, even though the second leg is in Madrid. I'll think they squeeze it out. Such a balanced team. My goodness. As balanced as, say, Manchester City.
PSV, Borussia Dortmund.
Ooh, that's a tough one, Mark. A coin toss. But Dortmund somehow, you know, they've been better lately. You got to give them credit. I like the way they play. I think oh my goodness. Borussia Dortmund, with their experience in the Champions League, and they somehow surprise, right? Even if they're bad, they do well in the Champions League, either by results or the way they're playing. So very, extremely close to Dortmund.
Second leg in front of the yellow wall. It's going to be a big...
That's enough. That'll do it.
Advantage. Yeah, indeed. Porto, Arsenal.
Porto, Arsenal. Porto's always here, right? And
they don't always go much further, though, but they've got such a good record of qualifying.
That's why I always have a soft spot for him in some way, because they're in Benfica, for that matter, you know, on a given year. But no, Arsenal. I mean, this is their time. Second leg at home. I mean, they're real good form, and there'll be too much for Porto.
Now, Xavi's Barcelona heading to the Maradona for the first leg, and then the second leg at Montjuic. What do you reckon with this tie?
I think it's close again, much closer because of the fact that you know, it looks like both Osimhen and Kvaratskhelia are going to be available. That's an important one. Without Osimhen, you know, I don't know, but I think Barcelona are good enough to get through this. And again, second leg always important for me. It's at the Montjuic. It's not the big stadium, but still enough. So very, very close to Barcelona. They'll go on.
Yeah, they've lost 3 of their last 8 games at home, Barcelona, and they only lost 1 at home last season. That was to Real Sociedad, and that was after 6 days after they had wrapped up the title at Espanyol. So home advantage should be a big thing for the teams in the second leg, but they've got to make sure when they go away from home in this round of fixtures for the first leg that they come back and they give themselves a chance.